Hello there. So the Spanish Grand Prix was actually a really good watch this year, compared to some previous years where it was very difficult for the cars to follow each other. So I would say the ground effect regulations have really done their job. The cars are able to really follow each other very closely, which led to some great racing, a lot of passes up and down the field. Um, So yeah, hope you watched it and enjoyed it. Today I wanted to talk about the setup changes which result from removing of that chicane. Some of them more obvious than others. So in previous years, the chicane it really it was a bit of a ugly portion of the track, I would say, because the cars always look very awkward through there. The Formula One cars. I think now by removing the chicane, the circuit flows a lot better, and in fact I would say it really removes some headaches from the teams trying to set the car up. Um, so first of all, I would say the obvious thing is that um, the setup can be a lot more like Silverstone, as opposed to Monaco, because there are no more important slow corners. So by important slow corners, I mean, so first of all, the this very slow chicane, um, it's not the only slow corner on the track, but it was probably the slowest one, next to this one and this one. I think those two are faster, but if you look at the length of straights following these corners, it was the chicane which had by far the longest straight which followed, because when there was the chicane, the final corner was easy flat for any for all of the cars, and so the last corner just became an extension of the straight, which meant that the traction out of this slow corner was very important compared to some of these other slower corners where you're basically going onto a very short straight followed by a braking zone for which and then a corner. And so these two are relatively less important compared to this one. So that's what I mean by not having a important slow corner. Um, so because you don't have this slow important corner, the traction out of the slow corners are not as important, and it's all about the fast sweepers. And interestingly, they're all fast right-hand sweepers. Like nearly all the important corners are now right-hand sweepers. So turn three, this fast kink before the back straight, and then the final section. They're all fast sweepers to the right, which means that it's possible to use a lot of anti-roll bar, both front and rear, for the high speed direction change stability, so that the car takes a set very quickly. The very stiff anti-roll bars would normally mean traction would be very bad over anything like a bump, and like a chicane, the curb of the chicane, because you don't have that doesn't matter anymore. What's also pretty obvious is the front left tire takes a beating, similarly to Silverstone, and so the setup would be all about protecting the front left tire. The less obvious, or maybe less obvious things, I would say, is that the weight bias can be moved forwards, so that it would be possible to use less rear wing to reduce the overall drag level. So this is like opposite of Monaco, where you want to put as much weight bias rearwards as possible to increase the traction for the low speed corners. But because the Spanish Grand Prix doesn't have any important low speed corners, that's not important anymore. So you can move the weight more forwards. But unfortunately, that comes at the cost of um, loading the front left even more. So there is maybe some trade-off to be made there, but I would think, like especially for qualifying, you would want to put the weight bias as far forward as possible. And then all the corners to the left are relatively slower and of lower importance. So this is, and I think I saw a video where it was maybe someone from a Mercedes that mentioned this, but it's possible to employ an asymmetric setup to help protect the front left. So they mentioned mainly, employ an asymmetric setup, but I would imagine it's to protect the front left. And so some of the things you could do is potentially jacking the other diagonal with more load. By the other diagonal I mean the front right and rear left. So you put more load on that. So that when you're turning right, the front are more evenly loaded to protect the front left. And you could potentially set the left-right height, so both front left and rear left, to be slightly higher than the right-hand side, so that when static, the left sits slightly higher than the right, but then when you're in the middle of a high-speed right-hand corner, the vehicle will be more even in terms of its roll angle, and than it would be if you started off from a relatively even static roll angle, and that could potentially help improve the grip in the high-speed corners. Yeah, so that's my take on it. I've never worked in Formula One, but I did spend a lot of time playing around with car setups in F1 Sims, and I'm just trying to apply general vehicle dynamics knowledge to what I see, to my analysis. So it would be interesting to hear your take, whether you think my take is correct or not, whether you have other ideas or how to make how to do the setup even better. Yeah, hope it was interesting. Until next time.